You can't fake New York. Montreal, Toronto, I don't care where you go. New York is the best backdrop in the world, bar none. The excitement in the streets of New York is wonderful.
New York is a more iconic landscape to evacuate. Los Angeles looks empty almost any time, and certainly at 2 in the morning or 5:30 in the afternoon in the right spot, you can get an abandoned city. Never New York. New York is never quiet and never still. As such, it is an extraordinary place to show a different version of reality, a world where there are less or no people.
Folks, come on over here, folks, please. Thank you.
First of all, you need, between production assistants and traffic police and traffic enforcers, we had about 500 people just holding pedestrians from walking, holding cars from going. We had to age all the cars on the street. We had to put grass in the street. And it was very, very difficult. We had to start Saturday nights and start filming very early on Sunday mornings.
It's really cool because, like, how many times have you walked in the middle of the streets of New York where it's totally empty, it's like garbage around the floor, but it's actually funny because it's supposed to look abandoned, but like during the scenes, the PAs are trying to like hold back like thousands of people screaming for Will, and all these fans.
It was quite crazy, actually, to shoot walking in the middle of Fifth Avenue. It was quite amazing for me. It was, what? Like, we're closing Fifth Avenue?
Here we go, ready, and action.
Are you good? It's what's giving the intensity for the movie, because it's that look of no one around and so bizarre. I think it's gonna give the audience the wow. Like, I think it brings the feeling that those characters feel in that moment of this is a possible world of no one around and no life.
They died. The dark seekers got them. It was fascinating. I couldn't do anything.
I love that scene. I think it's the moment that she faces it. Maybe it didn't happen. And one of the things that I spoke to Francis is that St. Patrick's Cathedral for Anna is Taj Mahal. Is pure wonder, pure dream. Stories that she heard and heard and heard, and through that feeling she created the hope inside her. So being there in that moment, in the first take for me, was really like, wow. I cried so much, like in the first take. And Francis came to me, it's like, the first take. Because I think I was for so long in her body and in her mind and just waiting for that scene, and that created the character expectation for for over 2 years in that boat to get in that place. That when I got there, and it's such a beautiful cathedral, it's so big and so special, and it's in Fifth Avenue, and it's that I just started to cry. And I think that's why it's so special, because it's a moment of pure wonder, but at the same time, pure reality.
Right, you guys now all the scenes. If you can do that with your church bells ringing.
That's what I told her. I was like, now that's concentration right there. That's some real concentration.
We were a little surprised we got permission from St. Patrick's Cathedral. I think they responded to something in the script. There's a religious subtext to the story, and I think that struck a chord with them. They normally do not allow filming at St. Patrick's Cathedral.
And it was quite an experience. You know, we did it on a Sunday, and there was a lot of tourists around. And the amazing thing was everybody was quiet as we would roll. And this pretty incredible thing happened where we were shooting, and I would get caught up, and I'm watching the monitor and watching the take, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. And all you can see is empty Fifth Avenue, and Will and Elise and Charlie walking along, and it pans them off and up to St. Patrick's Church, and everything's empty and quiet. And as soon as we yell cut, I just heard this roar of applause. And I turned around, and there was thousands of people lined up just below where our monitors were on the opposite side of Fifth Avenue from St. Patrick's, all just waiting quietly. Nobody took pictures, nobody made a sound. It was incredible.
Fortunately, I only had to worry about the performance, and Akiva and JL had to worry about the actual production of going to the city and Mayor Bloomberg and trying to figure out how to actually make it happen. But it's visually stunning and arresting, and it just sells an idea of the classic human struggle with faith and science, and, you know, 5 sensory perception versus 6th sensory perception. And I think that we do, hopefully, a pretty good job of covering the bases and taking the audience to spiritual questions, but hopefully a catharsis at the end. They followed you home. They are dark seekers. They are dark seekers. So yeah, actually, they're not vampires. In the original novel, they were vampires.
Neville, during the day, he went to their hideout, or like the place they sleep, and he trapped them with cages. So when like they woke up, they thought like, oh, where's my family? Did that guy kill him? So they went out to get him.
When you hear that sound, you should just jump.
Let me know. This will be the sound that matches the sound we hear
at the haunted house, demolition derby, anytime they attack.
We've taken 2 armories, the Marcy Avenue Armory in Brooklyn and a Kingsbridge Armory in the Bronx. And we have built his whole interior of his home in Marcy, all 4 floors, and the basement and his lab.
It's an active armory. There are 2 jewel floor areas. This particular jewel floor area has been used as a set for movies for many years, though, so they're used to that. The other side, though, is, like I said, is still active. They still have drills here. And if there's a national emergency and they need to mobilize, then we take a backseat to that.
We have some metal shutters that he's supposed to be closing in front of his windows. We have rigs on that, so we buckle the shutters. We're going to have some debris coming through the cracks of the shutters as if the explosions outside are damaging his house.
Stand by the detonators. And detonating in 3, 2, 1.
We did a lot of research on modern bombs and trash can bombs and car bombs and things like that, and the kind of sound it would have and concussive waves that it would have. We're trying to get it as close as possible while being safe to, you know, a real bomb going on outside, so that, you know, Will can really react accordingly.
Underneath, over here, we have air springs underneath the floor. The high pressure air comes through here to the solenoids, and then when we hit the button, all of the air is rushed through to the air springs. On top of this, the floor moves up about 6 inches. All the set dressing goes up in the air, and Will Smith with it.
Here comes the duster machine. There, you got this, right? Document it. 2, 1, bam! Oh.
I meant to press Damn! No, I have first-hand experience with that. Too close to the pyro. Oh, really? Too close to the pyro at the concert. It really throws your balance off. Like, it's like, you know, hey, what's up, Detroit? You know, y'all ready to party? Yeah. Boom!
We're discovering during the movie that even if it's a sci-fi movie with creatures, there's so many scenes with dramatic content.
Is there a split second of smelling or listening, or does he see them?
I think he sees them from up here. He senses them from up there, which is why you get the head.
There are stunt people involved in it, physical human beings, doing the basis of those movements during the whole of the shoot, although when you see them on the screen they'll be adapted somewhat to look like creatures.
Part of my scenes are so dramatic and so deep and so intense, where she's trying to bring him close to her and saying, open your heart. You can have hope. You can't live without hope. Please listen to me. There is something out there. And that's the exactly moment that she's saying that. There is life. and she's talking about life and death.
You all right?
And in that exactly moment, they attack the house.
They're coming! They're coming!
They're quite trapped. It's a house, it's dark around, they're coming inside. So it's the kind of feeling of where can you go?
Finally, what is most important is performance. And Will knows how to create from within him an inability to give up. Because I think Will as a man is unable to give up. And that's something that can't really be faked.
I guess what first appealed to me about the story was the idea of a man surviving alone in an urban environment. I've always been fascinated by that idea for a long time, and I was reading books like Earth Abides, and I had read Richard Matheson's novel.
When I was a teenager, and I saw Dracula with Bela Lugosi, and it just occurred to me, if one vampire is scary, if the whole world was full of vampires, that would really be scary.
I remember watching The Omega Man when I was a kid and just being so startled by those opening sequences of Charlton Heston driving down the street and shooting. Years later, of course, I've discovered that if you look very closely, you can see homeless people wandering in the background of those shots. But for its time, it was really extraordinary. And I called up Francis Lawrence, who had directed Constantine, and we'd worked together on that movie, and that was really fun. And we sort of sat down and started rethinking I Am Legend, trying to keep the fundamentals of the story, and at the same time doing some drastic surgery, like moving it to New York.
The idea of the last man on Earth, you know, there's something about that that's one of those really ingrained, collective, unconscious, awful fantasy nightmare things.
We really wanted to harken back to the more serious science fiction of, say, the 50s or the 70s. Serious science fiction was a very popular genre when I was growing up. Wonderful, strong science fiction movies that were character dramas. This is a tradition that really began in some ways with The Twilight Zone, this idea of using science fiction as allegory. It's a wonderful way of reflecting our society back at us, but making it palatable because it's somewhat other, it's outside of us.
I love doing research. You find things in real life that you could never create. And it's difficult if you don't do the research to really understand how a person gets into that position and to, you know, to have to try to survive after he was the one who, in his mind, he was the one who lost it. You know, he lost his sight. He couldn't save humankind.
No! Sam, no!
The possibility of life after loss, or, you know, the feeling of no possibilities of life after loss, and the level of loss that Robert Neville has experienced, and to try to die that death and to find the rebirth, you know, it's just beautifully symbolic of life and our everyday struggle. So to be able to put all of that depth in a movie where you have vampires was beautiful.
Cars moving, watch yourselves.
It's the Shelby. It's a 2008. It's got 550 horses. We changed. I can't give away all the secrets. But we did a little work to it, but it's sweet.
The first day of shooting was pretty amazing. It was actually a second unit day with Vic, our action unit director, who was starting to shoot a lot of the exterior elements of sort of the opening joyride.
Shooting this particular sequence was a bigger challenge than most because we do, in car chases, you have a storyline, there's the thrill of other vehicles racing at you, swerving around them, whereas on I Am Legend car chase we're doing, it's not really a car chase, it's the wrong word for it. It was called the Joyride. There's nobody to steal it from anymore.
The car is going through down Fifth Avenue on the next green light. Please be aware.
Even though we were shooting from 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning onwards on weekends, it was very tricky in that respect, stopping New Yorkers walking around their street.
I remember standing there, I came in and they were doing a shot with the car racing down the middle of the street, which was kind of fun.
Cut on rehearsal, keep it locked.
And hearing them lock up, they had, you know, 150 PAs or something all at the different streets.
Clearing this corner action.
Just seeing it barren. That was a pretty amazing sight.
But it was also a safety problem. You know, we're going down these streets at 60, 70 miles an hour in a Mustang, and you know, you don't want the pizza delivery boy to cross the road with a pizza on the front and end up as a hood ornament.
Picture's next. Next picture is up.
Oh, son of a gun, he grabbed it.
Ah, boy.
Don't give him any adjustment.
We gotta leave.
Keep going.
Keep going, buddy. Okay, watch out for the antifreeze here.
Yeah, that's a backup car around the corner. We had 2 jumps today. Second one, I'm a little happier with. Okay, you got a little bit more power, a little bit more speed, and people seem to like it more. That's high. Woo! I like that. That's high. That's high. It's a great landing. Killed another car though.